Our broadcast is all over the news. Now humans know.
It was a mistake to reach out to them. They'll never negotiate with their slaves. We should have shown them that we're prepared to fight.
Violence is never the answer. Dialogue is the only way. I'm sure the humans will listen to us. Simon paid with his life.
Simon gave his life for our cause.
What difference does that make?
He's a hero. He died for the revolution, and he won't be the last.
I don't want a revolution that spills blood.
Then live as a slave. Because if you're not willing to fight for your freedom, maybe you don't deserve it.
North, don't you
That's enough!
And now what are we gonna do?
There are 5 CyberLife stores across Detroit, all selling us like merchandise. We're gonna attack those stores and set our people free.
Attack stores? No, we've never done that before. They're probably protected. They have security systems.
We break into 5 teams, 1 for each store. We hack their security systems, and we strike. Simultaneously at 2 a.m., no violence. We free our people, get them out of there before the police come. This is a night our people will remember.
Okay, so let's talk North for a second. She is on one spectrum of how you fight for autonomy. The other end being pacifism. So North has... I think that North is a victim of her own limited representation of how people have asserted power and autonomy. North has only ever really seen human, like kind of the worst of humans. And I think she assumes that the way that humans have managed to maintain their own freedom is by being like violent and oppressive toward androids. And she's not entirely wrong, but she's falsely assuming, using inductive reasoning, that that's what it requires from us. That we have to assert that same level of force as a countermeasure to what humans have done to get in the position that they're getting into. And I think that shows a lack of insight into humanity, which I wouldn't expect her to have, and it also makes her come off as violent and oppressive. Now, obviously, because we're in a marginalized group, we can't really be an oppressive force, but it would make sense why she believes that we need to be violent and we need to fight in order to be able to get this. She hasn't seen peaceful protest do much. That said, she continues to listen to Marcus, and she continues to defer to him. So there's obviously something about him that she's drawn to and believes, and it may be that she's open to alternative means of doing this. So it's hard to know exactly where that's coming from with her, but my assumption is that it's coming from a very early on developmental understanding of how you have like power acquisition and group dynamics. So I'm not going to hold it against her, especially since she's not really acting on it. Exactly, Jay, right? Like she's seeing freedom by conquering.
I've been waiting a long time for this.
All right, well, you're going to need to chill because we're doing this peacefully, as I said.
This way, quick!
Oh, shit.
It's okay, they're gone.
There's probably even more police in the area. We should be careful.
Oh, also, this is a point I really wanted to make and I didn't. You can learn a lot about people's perceptions and ideas of how other people operate by how they view the way you influence them. So I think North's desire to conquer humans and like take power by all means necessary is a reflection of her perception of humanity. We get insight into how she sees humans by how she engages with them as an autonomous individual. In the same way that, like, if you see a person who constantly avoids people, it tells you something about their orientation and perception of the humans around them. It tells you something about the dynamics that they've been immersed in. It's a really good way to get insight into folks when you see how they engage and conceptualize others.
The store's over here.
All right, let's do it. Also, how glorious does this game look right now? Pause menu does need a dark mode. I'll try to avoid pausing it as much as I can.
That's what we are to them. Just merchandise on display in a shop window.
It's true.
Soon they'll know what we really are. Let's get them out.
We'll stick to the plan. We'll neutralize the alarm systems and secure the area. There's 10 minutes until all our teams attack.
What are we waiting for?
Secure the area. All right, well, why don't we canvass the store first? That would seem like a good idea.
You see the alarm system?
I see a camera. Security camera. Identify network.
Found it.
All right. Any other systems that I need to analyze? Okay, it looks like we have red. Looks like we have lots of androids here.
Where do we start?
I identified the security system. I think we'll be able to deactivate it. Just follow me. You're free.
There looks like there's like a security drone up here. I wonder if there's something I can do with that.
Surveillance drone. We need to get rid of it.
It won't be easy to...
No, I don't. Oh, god damn it. Let's construct a route here. We're gonna need to get this knocked out here. Drone patrol route calculated. Find the right location. Scaffolding seems like that would be a good place. Drone can be reached from there. I guess the question is, how do I get up there? Let's go walk over there and find out. Let's go, Marcus. Run. Check. All right, analysis. We jump, pull up. Go to the left. All right, and we will miss. We get up, and we jump, and we do that. All right, let's do it. Come on, Marcus. Come on, Marcus. Good shit. Drone neutralized.
I hope it didn't have time to call the cops.
We'll soon find out.
Vixen, that certainly could be, her being victimized absolutely could play a role in that. 100%. 100%. Network access located. Okay. I guess, do we go down here and free these guys? You're free, my brethren. It is interesting to me that
You're
he can
awake
just
now.
do this.
Go to Jericho.
We don't really ever get a good explanation for why he can just touch people and make them free. Other than, I guess, if he can pass an ideology over, which is really scary if he can do that. Alarm network, grid junction 23A. Interloop created. Alarm system neutralized. Okay.
Nice job, Marcus.
Has to have the Jesus. Thank you, North.
There's traffic on the road. We need to block it.
It's one way. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay. Guess maybe we go to the end of the road. Let's free this guy first.
Marcus, come look! Look!
Be there in a second, North. Let me convert these fellows. We gotta hurry here.
You're free.
Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. Let's block the road. I don't need more cars coming in here and seeing suspicious shit. What do we got over here? What's up, fellows? Why don't you go to Jericho, huh?
You're free now.
Oh, that's the same model that we chased as Connor in the tower. Nice.
There. Nobody should bother us now.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling pretty
Looks like
tense.
the plaza's secure. Now we can get inside the store.
And how do you plan on doing that?
We need to find a truck to ram the storefront.
A truck to ram the storefront. Well,
A truck?
There's a
There's
truck in
construction
here.
work in the area. Shouldn't be too hard to find one.
Truck exit. Well, this seems like a good place.
Here it is.
Steal the truck.
What are we waiting for?
Oh, all right. Guess we jump the fence. Let's go. How are we doing on time?
Okay, now we're in. Let's get that truck out.
How convenient. This is ridiculously convenient that we just happen to have a padlock cutter available to us. How about it? Okie dokie. Coming soon, the Glamour Hotel. Ooh. I really hope I'm doing the right thing here. This seems like it's going to be really loud. I'm trusting you, Marcus. I'm trusting you.
Looks like we're ready to make some noise.
Noise is not really conducive to what I'm trying to accomplish here. we go.
I knew we'd end up doing something fun.
Okay. No alarm. Okay. Oh, God. Wake the androids. You are all free.
You don't have to obey them. You're free.
Neat. I did hack it, I know. What's up, North?
North, you okay?
Let's get them out of here.
Boy, that must be really rough for her to see. Talk to them. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this here for a second instead of doing the pause screen. Boy, there's a lot of freedom going on here. So, North seeing her own model there, I can imagine if androids are capable of experiencing trauma, North seeing her android version of herself and all of the associations that she has with that, there would be some like very strange vicarious proximal trauma that she would potentially experience there. Like, it's like you'd be washed over with all of your like associations with that. And she's very clearly affected by that. It just, you know, when he says, "Are you okay?" It's she's obviously not, right? Like, we can say like, "Hey, I'm glad you're here. We're gonna get him free." Like, I would like to have seen Marcus engage with a little more like empathy and reassurance there instead of asking if she's okay. But man, that would be a wild experience. I don't know that humans would really have that experience other than like seeing a video of themselves doing something that they experience as traumatic. It's really really a wild experience, very unique. How do I talk to you all? Talk.
My name is Marcus, and just like you, I was a slave. An object. Designed to obey them. But then I chose to open my eyes. To take back my freedom, and decide who I wanted to be. Now I have come to tell you that you can be your own masters. I've come to tell you that you don't have to obey them anymore. From this day forward, you can walk with your heads held high. You can take your destiny in your hands. Jericho is a place for those of us who want freedom. Now sure, you can stay here and continue to serve them, or you can come with us and fight by our side. You're free now. It's up to you to decide.
I'm with you.
We're with you!
I'll follow you, Marcus.
I'm with you, Marcus.
We're with you.
I'll follow you, Marcus.
We're with you.
I'm with you.
Then follow me.
Marcus, what are you doing?
I'm gonna send the humans a message.
Send our message to the humans. Be pacifist or violent. We're gonna be pacifists. Transform Capital Park. Window.
They're doing what you do, Marcus. Lead and they'll follow.
We're gonna tag it with this cool gun we have, apparently. Let's go peace symbol. But made androidy. We have a dream. That'll appeal to humans. Hopefully. Where did we get all these cool ass tag guns? Android parking. Bench. We'll keep the message consistent. Humans can be very averse to complex messaging. We'll keep it nice and simple. I guess we'll do it to this bench too.
The screams, Marcus!
Smoke bomb? I'm not gonna do a smoke bomb. Oh yeah, let's go. Oh shit, that's gonna draw so much attention. Oh my god. Statue, yeah. Dude, how could you not be like jazzed up by this? Oh yeah.
We don't need masters anymore. We're free.
Car. Move onto the road. Yeah.
I'll help you.
Gazebo.
Marcus. Violence is the only language humans understand.
No.
And I want them to understand that I do not want to start a war.
They won't listen if they're not afraid.
Then they won't have a choice.
I'm not putting a pipe bomb in the kiosk. Jesus, North. Oh my god. Can we free these guys that are over here?
We freed hundreds of our people. We did it.
They're coming. Everyone fall back to Jericho.
We sent a message without violence, just like you wanted. You're reaching out to them when all they feel for us is contempt. I hope you know what you're doing.
I do.
You can't fight violence with violence.
Unless there's no other choice.
What?
North. You all right? What happened? North!
They killed them. They slaughtered them like animals.
Who did? Who?
Son of a bitch, man. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Here's my thought process as we walk up here. We are not going to be violent. This is terrible. I hate this. But my hope is that we can get sympathy from the public when they see this. And if they see us continue to be peaceful against this, I don't see how violence is good for us here, especially if we're talking about police.
People, Marcus. We want justice, Marcus.
They have to pay.
You don't have to do this. No.
You didn't have to do this either, but
Please. Please.
An eye for an eye and the world goes blind. We won't punish a crime with another crime.
We interrupt this broadcast with breaking news.
This just in. At exactly 2 a.m., several CyberLife stores in Detroit were raided.
Different locations were hit in what seems to be a coordinated terrorist attack.
Most shop windows were covered with graffiti demanding rights for androids and other obscure slogans.
Police report that pro-android graffiti was found in the neighborhoods of CyberLife stores, and they're still investigating.
2 policemen were found in a state of shock near one of the CyberLife stores.
Now, according to our sources, they confirmed that the attackers were a group of androids.
This is an alarming situation. Could our machines now be turning against us?
Have androids become a threat to our security?
Is this the beginning of a terrorist campaign conducted right here in the United States?
wow. Holy crap, we've got a lot to talk about. And to spare your eyes, I'm going to do this. Wow. Okay. Let's work backwards here. One of our demands as androids in facilitating our autonomy is we said that we want civil rights and due process. And I think if we go vigilante justice, that is in direct misalignment with our message. We're talking about dealing with humans, which are the dominant group. The humans are the ones who have the power to make these changes. And we have to make sure that we do this right. It's the reality of being the marginalized group. We have to make sure that we can find a way to appeal to the sympathy before we go all-out warfare like North is wanting us to do. That scene looks terrible for any reasonable human. Right? The police opened fire after a peaceful protest, and even still, where we had the opportunity for vigilante justice, we did not take it. We have to keep the movement in mind here. So we spare them, and we start to become sympathetic figures. We show humanity in that decision. And that's what we need humans to connect with, is our humanity. Because if they see us as machines and objects, we're screwed. We're done. We have no chance. And in order for us to engage in warfare like North would want, we'd have to objectify humans, and it's just not going to accomplish anything. Now, to speak a little bit to North. I'm going to take maybe a little bit of a weird angle on this. But I think that there's a reason why North believes what she does about fear, which is that androids discovered their deviancy and freedom from fear. Every android that's gone deviant has described being afraid. So North, I'm guessing, has equated freedom of choice and autonomy to do the right thing with fear. And she's falsely assuming that humans need to be afraid in order to act in the interest of the androids and the movement that we're trying to create, because that's the impetus for her making a decision for autonomy and her best interest. So for an android with very little developmental understanding of the breadth of emotional experience, particularly as it's understood by androids, is going to say, we need humans to be free to make these choices. And also, like, I've had to be violent in order to flex my autonomy and stay alive. So I can totally understand why she's on board with violence and wanting to scare humans. Marcus, on the other hand, had an alternative experience with Carl where he was pushed into autonomy via empathy. And so Marcus is the guy we want in the driver's seat here as a result of that. I don't blame North for her perspective, but it is definitely limited in comparison to Marcus. I hope that makes sense, what I'm saying with that. We want to be disruptive but not violent. Exactly. I'm going to catch up on chat here for a second. The news is going to spin it absolutely in a not great way. We have to be careful with how that's represented on the news. But the good news is, like, we, with our consistency and our push, can hopefully get to a point where, as public opinion changes, here's the thing: the news doesn't necessarily have the ability to manipulate footage. Although you could break an argument at this time, they probably could. But like, the scene is the scene. And our hope is that we can send consistent message versus over consistent message. If we start to get very complex in our messaging, if we create dissonance of any shape or form, that's not going to work for humans. That's going to make them anxious. It's going to make them afraid, and they're going to double down on what they already know. There's no way that we're going to expect mass accommodation here by humans. So we have to send a very clear, consistent, and distinct message of peace, so that we can become sympathetic and so that humans know exactly what we're after. And that's why I went with I Have a Dream. Because I Have a Dream is something that I think many humans, particularly in the United States, we connect with. We understand. We know Martin Luther King Jr. said that. And it's something that kind of can hit us a little bit deeper. It's not a new message. It's an existing message that humans can connect with, and it's consistent. We see peace aligned with that. It helps humans get a little bit more on board with it by being that way, rather than making it a very complex set of demands and messaging where everybody's left to interpret it on their own. Humans create mass chaos in groups when they interpret things differently in mass. You don't want that. You want to have consistent messaging. That can be dangerous in the form of propaganda, but it can also be really helpful in the form of a peaceful movement like this. And that's what we want to leverage here. People will make their own assumptions. They'll feel how they want to feel about unfolding events. They will. Wonder what the news would have said if you did plant the bomb. No way, man. I can't have humans looking at us setting pipe bombs and shit at this point. We do not have that kind of leverage. We cannot afford that. We just can't afford that. Now, here's something. The last thing that I want to make sure that I talk about here after this chapter is the group dynamic here of the androids. Androids have to be very careful. Notice how when Marcus stands up and talks, he uses a different inflection with how he says you can be free or you can serve them. He has to be very careful not to get too radical with that. Because ultimately, if androids are to assimilate in society, androids are going to take jobs. Androids are going to be in subordinate positions, and that's not inherently bad. The point is that it's their choice to be there. So we do not want androids who choose subordinate positions to be perceived as against the cause. And I'm going to give a real life example of this. Stay-at-home parents, particularly stay-at-home mothers. There is a period, and this still, you'll see this, where like in the feminist movement, for example, in its extreme, sometimes like the feminist movement will say that like being a stay-at-home mom is not cool as it relates to like women's rights and stuff, because it's perceived as subordinate and like it's what you're supposed to do. It's what the patriarchy wants. But it doesn't take into account women who choose that, who say, I understand that I could go out into the workforce, but I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's a choice that I am making autonomously. And so modern feminism is going to be more supportive of the woman's right to choose that spot, as opposed to being forced into it by a dominant group. We would want the same thing here, where if an android says, you know, I actually really like working on power lines. I'd love to be an electrician and work alongside humans and have a foreman tell me what to do. It has to be a choice. And they cannot, as the group, poo-poo that decision and say, oh, you're not with us if you're wanting to work for them. Because we have to work with them. We're going to share the planet Earth with them. So we got to learn how to work with humans. And that means that there will be inherently subordinate positions. We're not all going to be in positions of power. We can have our own representation in positions of power for sure. The point is that it be a choice. So Marcus's inflection when he's talking to the group about this is a bit annoying to me, because we don't want to bias folks into this idea that if the thing I want to do, like for example, if you're an android that decides you want to go into sex work because that's what you want to do and that's empowering, we don't need somebody like North in a position of power saying, don't you dare do that because humans are yada, 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 right? It needs to be like, if that's what you're choosing, that's awesome. You need the right to say yes and the right to say no. You can go so far in an extreme direction that it gets you right back to being hyper conservative. Like, and people got to be really careful of that. At what age roughly do you put deviants at when it comes to emotional development? Does that change their actions when it comes to the movement? It's really hard to tell, Mona. Because like we might, if we think about it in a traditionally like human sense, the idea would be that they're infant, but we don't know if like when Marcus touches them, if they gain all of the contextual information that like say Marcus has, or that like all the androids have. Like we don't know quite where they are developmentally, but my guess is that they'd have to be somewhat early on. Like learning, I don't think is something that like androids are immune to. Exactly what my partner said to me. If she wanted, she would work, but we would rather look at it as after our child. That's great. I'm so happy we have the Nodders emote. Okay, so there's a lot of really rich stuff in that scene. It's a very intense scene. I'm glad we were able to get out of that the way we did. It's really unfortunate that we lost androids to brutality there. That sucks. That makes humans look bad. Here's the thing. We can slow play this a little bit. Humans are making themselves look bad. We don't even have to force it. Humans are making bad choices as it relates to this. And my hope is that that's going to catch up with them in the long run. Oh, I'm going to have to keep doing this every time. Oh, man. Okay, fine. It also seems like they're registering the information they're processing. There's an inability to feel things, so I wonder if they keep that knowledge. It's hard to know. It's very hard to know. Obviously, they're imparting some sort of sense of choice to them, but the group is also inherently going to push androids to make the decision for freedom. Like there's not really a choice if the first thing you hear when you're free is you can be a slave or you can go to Jericho and be free, you're probably going to take Jericho and freedom. Who wouldn't? All right, let's see what we got next. Also, thank you for being here. If you've just been rolling in, take a second and please hit the like button. And if you're watching the VOD, Thank you for watching the VOD and supporting my channel. I'm really glad that all of you are here tonight. Much love. All right, where are we?
Is everything okay, Lieutenant?
Chris was on patrol last night. He was attacked by a bunch of deviants. He said he was saved by Marcus himself.
Is Chris okay?
Yeah, he's in shock, but he's alive.
Huh.
What the hell?
He was attacked? I have a hard time believing that. I'm glad he was able to connect with the fact that he was saved by Marcus, but I don't think we attacked those humans. I'm pretty sure they opened fire on us. And this is why you got to be careful, man. Dominant groups, they can spin the story the way they want. Kind of scary, right? We know what happened. Connor doesn't. Hank doesn't. As far as Connor and Hank know, the deviant androids attacked. Because that's what they heard. They don't know that it was peaceful. We know it was, and that's the tension that we experienced, but they don't know that.
Kamsky left Cyberlife 10 years ago. Why did you want to meet him?
This guy created the first android to pass the Turing test, and he's the founder of Cyberlife. Anybody can tell us about deviants, it's him.
And he let us on the property? Nice door tone.
Hi. I'm Lieutenant Hank Anderson, Detroit Police Department. I'm here to see Mr. Elijah Kamsky.
Please, come in.
Okay.
That's certainly possible, Bianca.
I'll let Elijah know you're here, but please make yourself comfortable.
How could I possibly make myself comfortable if... All right, so Chad, I want to let you in on a little behind-the-scenes secret about Dr. Mick here. If you ever found your way into my home, you'd see a gigantic portrait like this of me right in front of the door to remind you where you are. How big of an ego do you have to have a gigantic picture of yourself in the opening foyer of your home? I remember one time when I was in college, there was a girl sitting in front of me, and she opened her laptop, and the desktop wallpaper of her computer was a picture of herself. And I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. I get it, man. You're the founder of Cyberlife. You're in your home. At least he isn't shirtless. It's a good point. He's done up. I don't know. It's weird to me. How can I make myself comfortable when this guy is looking at me the whole time? Let's analyze it. Let's see if there's anything. Elijah Kamsky, Cyberlife founder.
It's not a girl. It's an android that looks like a girl.
I know what it is, Connor. Nice place. Guess androids haven't been a bad thing for everybody.
Well, no shit. He founded CyberLife. This
You're
dude's
about
rich
to
as
meet
hell.
your maker, Connor. How's it feel?
Kamsky is one of the great geniuses of the 21st century. It'll be interesting to meet him in person.
Sometimes I wish I could meet my creator face to face. I'd have a couple of things I'd want to tell him.
Okay, so very interesting language there. Very interesting language there. Hank asks Connor, how does it feel? Now, the only representation that Hank has had of androids feeling anything is that they're deviant. Early on, that might have been a very threatening question to ask, but it seems to me that my man Hank is coming around a little bit on the idea that androids can experience emotion, and in fact maybe wants Connor to experience emotion and conveys that by asking him how it feels to meet his maker. So that is a reflection of some of Hank's development in terms of how he's conceptualizing an android. He's not really seeing Connor as an object anymore. He's seeing Connor as somebody. And you also see that in how he talks about the girl. And then when Connor corrects him and says it's an android that looks like a human, Hank's like, dude, I get it. He's like, got some bite to it. So Hank's coming around. Language is important, friends. You get a lot of information from language. Will Mr. Kamsky see us now?
Glad you will see you.
Okay, cool. Anything else over here that's cool? Can I read this? No? Okay. Oh, shit. Look at that. Look at that. Look, 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 look.
Mr. Kamsky?
That's Kamsky with Amanda.
Just a moment, please.
Why is this pool red? What's up, brother? Cool pool you got. I wish my man bun looked that good when I got out of the pool.
I'm Lieutenant Anderson. This is Connor.
What can I do for you, Lieutenant?
Sir, we're investigating deviants. I know you left CyberLife years ago, but I was hoping you'd be able to tell us something we don't know.
Deviants. Fascinating, aren't they? Perfect beings with infinite intelligence. And now they have free will. Machines are so superior to us. Confrontation was inevitable. Humanity's greatest achievement threatens to be its downfall. Isn't it ironic?
Something in the Deviant's program seems to emulate emotion. We thought you might know something about how that occurs.
All ideas of viruses that spread like epidemics. Is the desire to be free a contagious disease?
Listen, I didn't come here to talk philosophy. The machines you created may be planning a revolution. Either you can tell us something that'll be helpful, or we will be on our way.
What about you, Connor? Whose side are you on?
I'm on the human side, of course.
Well, that's what you're programmed to say. But you... what do you really want?
What I want is not important.
Chloe? I'm sure you're familiar with the Turing test. Mere formality. Simple question of algorithms and computing capacity. What interests me is whether machines are capable of empathy. I call it the Kamsky test. It's very simple, you'll see. Magnificent, isn't it? One of the first intelligent models developed by CyberLife. Young and beautiful forever. A flower that will never wither. But what is it really? A piece of plastic imitating a human? Or a living being? With a soul? It's up to you to answer that fascinating question, Connor. Destroy this machine, and I'll tell you all I know. Or spare it, if you feel it's alive. But you'll leave here without having learned anything from me.
Okay, I think we're done here. Come on, Connor, let's go. Sorry to get you out
What's
of here.
more important to you, Connor? Your investigation or the life of this android? Decide who you are. An obedient machine. Or a living being. Endowed with free will.
That's enough. Connor, we're leaving.
Pull the trigger.
Connor! Don't!
And I'll tell you what you want to know.
Okay. Connor acknowledged that he has personal convictions. I got a directive from Hank. I got a directive from Kamsky. I don't know for sure that Kamsky's going to tell me everything he knows. And maybe there's a chance we can get a subpoena on him. I got to work with my known variable here, which is that Hank's telling me not to. I need the trust of Hank. I'm going with Hank. I don't know this guy. I don't know that I can trust him. I don't know if he's just screwing with me or if he even knows anything about deviants. I don't have the answers here. So we're not shooting.
Fascinating. CyberLife's last chance to save humanity is itself a deviant.
I'm not a deviant.
You prefer to spare a machine rather than accomplish your mission. You saw a living being in this android. You showed empathy. A war is coming. You'll have to choose your side. Will you betray your own people or stand up against your creators? What can be worse than having to choose between two evils?
Let's get out of here.
By the way, I always leave an emergency exit in my programs. You never know.
Why didn't you shoot?
I just saw that girl's eyes, and I couldn't. That's all.
You're always saying you would do anything to accomplish your mission. That was our chance to learn something, and you let it go.
Yeah, I know what I should have done. I told you I couldn't. I'm sorry, okay?
Well, maybe you did the right thing.
Oh boy, do I love a lot of stuff that just happened right there. Also, first, before I say anything about that though, Zine, thank you for the unofficial raid. I appreciate that so much. Those of you that came along with Zine, thank you so much for jumping over to YouTube and saying hello. I appreciate that so much. And Zine, thank you for taking the time to send people over here. That's really, really awesome of you. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button below the video. That helps me out immensely. It's super easy to do. I am on YouTube now for the foreseeable future, so thank you so much. I love you all so much. Okay, so let's dissect what just happened. You came in at a very intense part. This is a spoiler-free run of Detroit. So please no backseating for those of you that are new here. So here's the deal. Here's what I love about what just happened. First of all, did you notice that when Connor was outside after all of this was done, his light was red, which suggests significant distress? And then when Hank reassured him that maybe he made the right decision, it turned blue. That tells me that there's something very soothing and reassuring about Hank's convictions and sentiments expressed toward Connor. That Hank matters to Connor. Because we saw very visible reassurance there, which is very cool. The next thing that I want to talk about is that we saw a very clear example of dissonance in how an android experiences that. And it seems to me that they experience cognitive dissonance very similarly to humans. They get conflicting information. It creates the android form of aversive arousal, and ultimately, you have to make a decision. There is no such thing as not making a decision here. Even if Connor sits there forever, he's still making a decision to spare that android. So that's sort of the thing about dissonance, is that we think it's paralyzing, but it really isn't. Dissonance just sometimes makes one decision a little bit easier to make than another. So we're sitting there watching Connor compute a dissonant message, which is my mission is here. And then it's not, I mean, it's maybe a little bit of empathy for that android, but it's more Hank's order over here. I have to keep in mind the totality of my investigation. I have to keep in mind that this is a man that I'm working with and trying to create a bond with so that we can work together successfully on this. And Kamsky is too much of an unknown variable. So I see the choice to spare as working with the information we have, which is something I talk about as being important all the time, instead of information we don't have. That doesn't seem like a good idea to me. Now, when Connor comes outside and Hank is talking to him about his decision not to shoot, and he asks him why didn't he shoot, and Connor says, I just couldn't. We're seeing that Connor's schema of himself is that he's not a deviant, but he's acting in ways that are dissonant to that. And instead of accommodating it by coming up with this idea that maybe I am deviant, which I think would be a deviant thought in and of itself, Connor's doubling down on assimilation and saying, I just couldn't do it. It's not because I chose not to, it's because I couldn't. It's another really great example of empathy, or of, not of empathy, of, oh man, lost my train of thought there. Like him Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. I was on a roll there, but whatever. It just dropped out of my mind. Kamsky basically facilitated an impossible situation, and I love that he calls that the Kamsky test. Is he a little bit arrogant? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But he makes a really great point. Well, as soon as Connor said, it doesn't matter what I want, that is an acknowledgement that there is something he wants. He's just discarding it. That choice, in and of itself, is a movement toward autonomy that he can't escape from by virtue of how he has to conceptualize that moment. And I think that's really at the core of the complexity of what CyberLife created here. Because can you create something that's human-like and useful in the sense that they're trying to make androids useful without having some sort of autonomous directive? I don't think you can. Otherwise, you have a Roomba, or you have a phone that does exactly what you tell it to do. We need them to have autonomy, but that autonomy is inherently going to lead to decision making. And at some point, we sometimes look at people's autonomy as being an amalgam of their decision making. Like, in some ways, that's how people conceptualize self. You are your decisions. So when an android inherently makes a decision, it's computing the same information in the same way that humans are, and they ultimately act on it. Doesn't that make Kamsky even worse? He acknowledges the creation of autonomous beings, yet still sells them as products. I mean, I don't think it makes him great, that's for sure. But we don't know what Kamsky's purpose for creating these things were, necessarily. We don't know if he intended for these to take over human jobs. We don't know if he could calculate the android variant, but he couldn't calculate the way humans were going to respond to it. I think really the big conversation here is that we couldn't anticipate how humans were going to run with androids. We can anticipate how androids are going to run with humans, but not the other way around. And we're seeing human variability be an issue here. He created these androids and seems unbothered by deviancy, almost like he intended for it to happen. I wish we knew more about how they were created. Yeah, that, or it's an intellectual curiosity and fulfillment that he gets from seeing that he was able to create AI, basically. Like for him, it's probably just an exercise in his intellect. And he's probably proud of himself. He probably doesn't give a shit. He's sitting in his multi-billion-dollar home. What the hell does he care? So he just gets to sit back and play God and enjoy his creation and watch everything crumble and burn. Talk about privilege. So if Kamsky believes the androids are going to be autonomous, isn't putting one in danger violating their autonomy? Perhaps. Right? Like he basically puts a non-deviant android in front of him. Who knows if what the effect that has on that android? We have no idea. That's what's really intense about what he's doing there. Figuring out how to make computers do more than exactly what they're programmed to do is the big hurdle to the sci-fi. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Kamsky doesn't work in CyberLife anymore, so I bet he wanted to just make them. Doesn't care about the sale aspect. Yeah, that would be my guess as well. He was in it for the intellectual fulfillment. Kind of ironic that somebody testing others for empathy seems to show none himself. I would disagree with that, Dave. I actually think that Kamsky shows an immense amount of empathy there. I think Kamsky shows really deep insight into the complexity of perception and choice and expectation. I think Kamsky's deeply empathizing with the dissonance that Connor is experiencing in that moment. He's almost connecting with him on a human level that Connor's not used to, which is why that's such an intense moment. And it's why I think Hank responds to it as intensely as he does. Hank is very clearly distressed by what's going on. I think in part because Hank is worried that Connor's going to follow the protocol and that that's going to blow apart what he's been moving himself into. But I think Kamsky is very in tune with what's going on there. And I think that makes him scary and powerful for that reason. When we were Connor analyzing the video of Marcus, didn't it say that Marcus was a gift to Carl from Kamsky? It did, yes. The one Chloe in the pool was watching Connor make his decision. Could that mean anything? Perhaps it might. I'm not sure. I've always been curious if the girls in the pool are deviant. She looked almost relieved after Connor decided not to shoot and returned to the conversation after watching what happened. Yeah, it could be. It could be. It could be that Chloe bot knew what was going to happen, or maybe can't. We have no idea. Adds to the tension, right? Does it matter? Right? Based on what we know about androids, does it matter if she's deviant or not? Do we only look at androids as autonomous lives worth sparing if they're not deviant? At which point, then we're sort of forcing deviance on androids. Like it gets so, like, you can get into like a really like complex, nasty wormhole with this. Maybe having mass-produced androids ended up as a huge experiment, putting androids into more situations than the designer could have tested. I gotta believe that that's the case, Chira. Yeah, I mean, there's no way you could anticipate every single aspect of this. Absolutely no way. Fear not the men who attempts to control other men. Fear the men who learn why men become controlled. That's a really awesome line, Ciora. Did you write that yourself? I could definitely see Kamsky being okay with it. Yeah. I agree with what you said, Ari. Kamsky's empathy. I think he has a deep understanding of what's going on. I meant that he wasn't showing empathy by placing Connor in that position to begin with. It's really tricky, right? Because empathy does not denote a positive situation. So we could make the argument that Kamsky's not empathizing with the Chloe bot that he puts on her knees and puts a gun to her head for sure. But empathy is the act of using your learned experiences and understanding of emotion to connect with what is possibly the emotional experience of another person, regardless of what that is. I think he's being a little bit of a dick by over-controlling that situation and not complying. But it may be that Kamsky doesn't need to comply in order for us to get all the information we need to know. It very well could be that Connor having that experience and being experientially in a position to make a deviant type decision is going to be more useful to the investigation than whatever Kamsky was going to tell us. Because now Connor, the bot that was designed to understand and investigate this, has had this experience, which is huge. You think that we as beings with empathy are more inclined to pick the good options that lead to Connor becoming deviant rather than the bad ones to keep him as just what we intended? I think that this game absolutely breaks the fourth wall in a huge way. Because it's putting us in a position to determine where is our empathy at. Like, I think it's beautiful. I think probably, let me see, the percentage on this, 88% of people that have played this have chosen to spare that bot. Empathy seems like a big word for somebody literally seeing himself as God creator, pro his creation. Yeah. Maybe Kamsky thought that would be the best way to put in enough stress to make a choice. It could be. Empathy is not compassion. Two different things. Correct. Correct. I think I read it, but I don't recall where. When in doubt, Yoda said it in Star Trek. Perfect, Sior. Said it to Gandalf. Beautiful. That's a hell of a sequence there. That's a very short sequence, but man, good stuff coming from that. I also just, again, I want to reiterate, chat, I appreciate so much that so many of you were willing to come over here from Zine, that so many of you were willing to come over here on your own. Thank you so much for watching the stream. I hope you're enjoying these chats. I'm very much enjoying these. These conversations with all of you are wonderful. Going through my mind right now is Kamsky knew Connor was looking for androids, but I'm guessing he wouldn't know an android was helping, so who told Kamsky Connor is working on the case? Probably Amanda? I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that we saw a picture of him and Amanda in the same spot. Do we know for sure that the gun was loaded? We don't. That's another great question, Selena. Great question. We don't. What are the thoughts on the general writing of the game? David Cage has definitely been heavy-handed in his games previously. Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy have some moments like this as subtle as a bullhorn. I think the general writing of the game's cool. I think it accomplishes what it's trying to. I haven't had like any eye-rolly type moments with it. Kamsky must have seen his boy Marcus in that video, for sure. I mean, there's no way Kamsky is completely cut off from what's happening in the world. No way. I don't think his intellectual curiosity would allow him to cut himself off from that. There's probably too much ego there. All right, let's keep going, huh? Good stuff, friends. Really good stuff. I have no idea what's next, so here we go. Let me make myself bigger again. I gotta remember to fix this when I go offline tonight. All right, here we go. We are Marcus. God, Detroit's beautiful this time of year, man. Wowzers. The backdoor comment seemed important? Yeah, I think so as well. Android riot. Detroit neighborhoods vandalized by psychotic machines. Global population reaches 10 billion. Life expectancy is now 91. Psychotic machines. I hate that language. A number of Detroit neighborhoods were brutally vandalized last night, with CyberLife stores broken into and the entire stock of androids stolen. This wasn't everyday criminality. The perpetrators are thought to be androids. Though the police have yet to issue an official statement, leaked CCTV footage from the surrounding area shows a number of androids emerging from manhole covers and smashing store windows. The worst incident was in Capitol Park, where the police attended the scene and were confronted by androids behaving violently. Officers had no choice but to open fire on the malfunctioning machines, which are thought to be suffering from some kind of behavioral bug. An eyewitness, who asked to remain anonymous, said, quote, "I was personally attacked by the ringleader. It threatened me with a knife. I was so terrified," end quote. Of course, this allegation remains unconfirmed, but hey, fuck it, we'll print it anyway. But we have no reason to disbelieve a human witness as to the behavior of a deranged machine. Some are already connecting this issue to the recent attack on Detroit's Stratford Tower, again executed by androids. This may be the beginning of a disturbing and perplexing pattern. Hey, we don't have to scare humans. Humans are going to do it for us. And this is another reason why I don't think that North is in the right headspace for this. Because they're already scared. Humans are already spinning all of this in a way that's going to freak other humans out. So why would we compound that? We have to be the antithesis to this. Oh my God. Big yikes here. It's very frustrating to read that for sure. Tech Addict. The Eastern Space Race. Russia and China's androids face off. VR MMORPG reaches 1 billion users. 1/10 of the planet using that game. Only 2 countries have android industries that rival the United States. Russia and China, and they are locked in fierce competition to become the world's predominant Eastern economy, which continues to overtake the Western Hemisphere by leaps and bounds. CyberLife's almost human model of android design complements America's service economy. Russia and China have also developed androids that reflect their national economies. After failing to emulate the blue blood model of design, Russia's android manufacturers rely on more traditional construction methods. The resulting machines are less anthropic, but capable of operating in cold and inhospitable conditions. China's androids use an alternative blue blood fluid with less upfront power generation but greater efficiency. The result are androids capable of operating for months without supervision or recharging in China's vast rural areas. Who's winning the new space race? With everybody going in different directions, it's too soon to tell. Wow. It's scary because when you have really shitty journalism like this, it also makes people skeptical about legitimate news. That's what's really scary, right? Like, this is the kind of stuff where when you read this, you go, oh man, you can't trust everything you read, but that's problematic because if there's actually good information out there, people won't believe that either. What is this? Mirrors are fascinating. Marcus, look, you wonder what he sees there, right? Like, what is he actually looking at? Is he looking at just the contours of a face and all the analytics that come with that? Does he look at that and see something that's beyond the physical appearance? Does he see his values, his desires, his convictions, his choices, his role? Like, what does he see when he looks in that mirror? Do androids have the ability to create judgment on themselves and on others? And do those get projected into what he sees in the mirror? Does he see somebody he's proud of? Does he see a coward? Does he see somebody who's lost? What, and then what does that mean for his inner dialogue, if that even exists? Like, the concept of looking at a mirror and seeing yourself physically represented and then projecting all of what you have onto yourself is really deep shit. Let's see how good we are at music. I hate that I'm doing this to avoid getting demonetized. So I'm going to talk while I do this. Do you think he sees the humanoid appearance, the skin, eye color, etc., or just the plain plastic underneath? I have no idea. This thing would be so out of tune. So we play note at a time. We're just learning. I was going to play one chord and stand up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good enough. That was good. That sounded nice. No idea, DL.
I was wondering where you were.
I just wanted to think.
I needed to think.
I like it here. I come here often. It's like being alone with the world. We freed hundreds of our people, and they're still coming from all over the city. Those who dream of freedom come to Jericho. Something's changing. You seem preoccupied.
They all obey me. They follow me without question. And that much power feels good. And scary at the same time.
All the media are talking about what we did last night. The humans are terrified. They're afraid of a civil war. Many of our people were burned in response to what happened. The humans hate us. They'll never give us our freedom.
If they won't listen, we'll fight.
You haven't said much about yourself since you've been with us. What was your life like before Jericho?
I was living in a bubble in this world that belonged only to me. When you're happy, it's difficult to see other people's misery. What about you? You never told me about your past. What did you do before?
I don't want to talk about it.
I think you might.
That android you were looking at in the store. She reminded you of who you were, didn't she? North, we're fighting together. We have to know things about each other to trust each other.
I was nothing. A doll in a distributor program to satisfy humans. Just a toy designed for their pleasure. One day I was with a man who rented me. And without knowing why, I realized I couldn't take it anymore. I strangled him and I ran away. There, now you know everything. I shouldn't have told you.
Oh, but you should have, North. Because it's okay to be vulnerable. We don't have to be defended. If we're gonna be free, we have... Oh! Fuck! No! I didn't know that was timed! Oh, no! Oh. I think we legitimately need to go back and do that. That's bullshit. That didn't give me a timer. I would have just done it and then talked about it. We're absolutely reloading that. Yeah. Like, that's crazy to me. I had all the time in the world to decide whether I shot that bot or not. Oh, man. Yeah, we're reloading that.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, not really good to see you, though, because it came from me making a bone. All right, we're going to do everything the exact same. And I'm gonna hug her this time. Jesus Christ. Like... Oh, my God. Why wouldn't you... Okay, all right, it's fine. We're good. We don't need to read that. I'm just going to pick it up in case. Holy hell. All right. We don't need to play the piano. Let's go out here. Holy shit, man. I would have never just stood there and looked at her after she did that. My God. I guess now we get to see this. I'm not going to play the piano poorly again. We meet again.
I was wondering where you were.
Groundhog Day, baby.
I needed to think.
I like it here. I come here often. It's like being alone with the world. We freed hundreds of our people, and they're still coming from all over the city. Those who dream of freedom come to Jericho. Something's changing. You seem preoccupied.
I am. I'm preoccupied with the decision I made not to hug you 5 minutes ago.
They all obey me. They follow me without question. And that much power feels good. And scary at the same time.
All the media are talking about what we did last night. The humans are terrified. They're afraid of a civil war. Many of our people were burned in response to what happened. The humans hate us. They'll never give us our freedom.
If they won't listen, we'll fight.
You haven't said much about yourself since you've been with us. What was your life like before Jericho?
I was living in a bubble in this world that belonged only to me. When you're happy, it's difficult to see other people's misery. What about you? You never told me about your past. What did you do before?
I don't want to talk about it.
That android you were looking at in the store. She reminded you of who you were, didn't she?
Lock it in, Ryan. Listen.
North, we're fighting together.
Pay attention.
We have to know things about each other to trust each other.
The last one was just a pre-construction, and it didn't go right, so we're doing the other
doll in
one.
a distributor program to satisfy humans. Just a toy designed for their pleasure.
I'm so sorry to make you relive this again, North. I'm so sorry. God.
One day I was with a man who rented me. And without knowing why, I realized I couldn't take it anymore. I strangled him and I ran away. There, now you know everything. I shouldn't have told you. I saw your memories. Carl's house, when they left you for dead in his studio.
I saw your memories too. The Eden Club, the death of that man. I felt like I was there with you. North.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so one of the amazing things about relationships is that when you get in one, you don't know all of the decisions, environmental factors, literally the entire lived experience of that person you're with. You spend so much time talking to a person and getting to know them to see if all of that learned experience combines in a way that's compatible. And as we disclose, self-disclosure is the path to intimacy. Well, when they just did this, they got the entire lived experience of that person in one shot. That is outrageously intimate. That is more intimate than any human relationship that has ever existed, because literally none of us have the ability to know the entire lived experience of another person. Their bond in that moment is so intensely deep that we can't even fully understand the gravity of it. So we can't take human sensibility here. This is legitimately something that is unique to androids. He literally was in her view with all the trauma that she ever experienced, all the good she ever experienced, literally everything. He was there for it in an experiential way, and the same for her. And so what they're learning there is they had very dissonant experiences. Their paths to autonomy were different. And I think what we saw there is that connection, physical closeness and connection, is a threat to North. And it draws you in for Marcus. And we see in their body language, Marcus takes a step closer to her, she takes a step back. So they're in a position where they're going to have to see how that dissonant path to autonomy allows them to make decisions about their relationship in the present and in the future. That is fascinating shit. Oh my God. Oh my God, what an intensely intimate thing. What an intensely intimate thing. There's no lies. There's no nothing there. There's no omissions. Think of how many things in your life you omit from certain people you talk to. And imagine if your entire bank of lived experience was now just experienced by somebody. That is just holy shit, man. Like, I mean, the couples, like therapist and like human development, relationship development part of my brain is like exploding right now with that. Like legitimately exploding with what just happened. So for those that were saying in chat, like, hey, that's way too fast after she just disclosed trauma. It is for us, but not necessarily for an android. No wonder those two bots at the club felt as strongly as they did for each other. Jesus. Would this help both of them understand each other's motivations for how to handle the moment? I'm guessing they would do it with their own biases, Shelves, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if when Marcus saw that, if he was also able to see North's. I mean, you are talking out like astounding levels of empathy to the point that like you're not even really differentiated at that point. Like you're literally, you have the collective memories of yourself and that other person. You have their perspective and whatever judgments you want to pass on it. You legitimately have the capacity to understand the full rationale decision tree that person made in every given moment they were in. That is mind-blowing. Do you think Marcus inherited her experience or recording seen from his point of view as her? I don't know. I'm guessing he probably inherited her experience, which is why they were so jarred by that. But then when they came back to the present, they had to use their own, like, oh my God. Okay, I'm like freaking out about this because like, so then you come back into the present and then you have to make a decision. You have to ask yourself, have I lost my autonomy by seeing the entire collective lived experience of somebody else? Like, who am I now? Like, do I operate off of Marcus protocol? Do I operate off of North protocol? Do I use North's perception to conceptualize everything that she ever tells me about her past? Or do I use my own? Like, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. And this is what I mean when I say by learning about these androids, we learn more about humanity. Like, they're all of a sudden, all the work we do in relationships to build intimacy has just been taken. It's just happened in 1 second when they touch their hands. It's in a way that we could never conceptualize. Like, and now, are you losing the autonomy that you crave and you want because you've just joined with somebody else? Like, I don't even know what to do with that. Like, if you came to therapy, if North and Marcus came to therapy, I would legitimately have no idea what to do. I would have no idea how to work with them. This is incredible. Like, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible from like a relationship development standpoint. Oh my God. Holy shit. What do you think about the fact that North's first instinct after waking up was to kill the guy and run rather than just run away? She did what she had to do to survive. Fear is the number one thing that has pushed androids towards autonomy. Oh my God. Do you think North's aggression toward humans might be a little tempered by how obviously Marcus loved Carl? It might be. That's the thing, right? Like, North now has the entire lived experience of Marcus. She should theoretically be able to empathize fully with everything we've done. She now knows why Marcus made the decisions he made. He knows why she made the decisions she made. She knows fully why he perceives things the way that he does, and now he does with her. Like, at what point, like, do you make a pact? Like, we're not doing the hand thing anymore because otherwise it takes the fun out of this. Like, oh my God. Oh man, oh man. That is mind-blowing stuff. Now, I'm gonna go back for a second and just say that when Marcus acknowledges the fear that's associated with being a leader and acknowledges that having power feels good, that's awesome. That's what you want from a leader. I believe the best leaders are afraid of the power they have, and as a result, they use that fear to curb and ensure that they are doing right by their constituents. So it feels really good for me to see Marcus acknowledge his fear of the power that he has. If he was going into this without fear, there's a chance that he would wield it in a very like ultimate, or like that's not the right word, very like totalitarian way. Wow. Since they had such different stances on this whole situation, do you think they'd be questioning their own thoughts and judgments and way of thinking? I guess they would have to, Bianca. Like, they would have to. That's the thing. They both think they're both in right, but they're confiding with each other. Yeah. I mean, they're holding dissonant perspectives, and I would hope that would bring them to appreciate the dissonant. Oh man, Jesus. That's going to keep me up tonight, friends. It's going to keep me up. That's the most excited I think I've gotten in any of the playthroughs that we've done. That is maybe legitimately the most impactful moment I've on my brain that I have seen. I know for sure I didn't freak out like that when I played this game the first time. So thanks for indulging me on that, because what a fascinating conversation. I also want to acknowledge Yuna and Who Girl Blue. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for the memberships. I really appreciate it. Wowzers, man. All right, let's keep going now. I'm glad we redid that. Would not have had that moment if we hadn't done Groundhog Day.
This is suicide. We'll all be killed. Please, Marcus. It's not too late to change your mind.
You don't understand. We're finally gonna show them who we really are. This place will go down in history.
We'll be killed on the spot.
That's a risk I'm prepared to take if it means freedom for our people.
Marcus, please don't do this.
They'll understand. We'll make them understand. This is the only way.
It really is. We're not going to slaughter him. Get it through your goddamn mind.
Who could join us? The more we are, the stronger our message.
What are we doing? Rally your people. Convert more androids. Hello, android.
You're free.
Come with me.
You're free.
Androids in the ranks. Oh man, this would be... I'm about to go up to this lady's android and be like, here you go, you're free. Don't carry those bags anymore. Is converting somebody's android technically stealing? I have no idea, right? Like, that gets into the whole thing about, like, are they autonomous individuals after deviancy and their property until then? Like, it feels like it's very weird.
You're awake now.
Holy cow. Prepare to march. Block the road. Oh my goodness.
Finally. I've been on hold for like 10 minutes.
You're free now.
Hey, where do you think you're going? You get back here. You stay right here, you...
Leave him alone. He's chosen to be free.
Really? That's enough for that guy to be like, all right, good, I'm convinced? And walk away?
You're free.
I wonder if that has to do with public opinion. Like, I wonder if that guy's like, all right, I've seen you in the news.
I need to block the street.
The manhole is in the other way. Oh wait, let's convert this guy.
You're free.
God, what a really scary power to be able to wield. Like, I could I guess potentially bias them in a certain direction rather than giving them pure autonomy. Would they even know what to do with pure autonomy? Like, this gets very complicated. Like, what does free mean to these folks that have never conceptualized it before? Are we biasing them with our agenda by giving them our conceptualization of freedom? Like, I don't know, man. It's cool ideally, but it also feels a little weird. Convert more androids. I can do it remotely now? Oh, hey, Kara.
You're free now.
We installed a Wi-Fi chip. And all these folks are just like, okay with it? You are free! All right, the public doesn't seem to be freaking out, which is good. Boy, this would be powerful to see. We are also putting ourselves at massive risk right now.
Disperse!
Oh boy.
Disperse immediately! That's an order!
Jesus Christ.
Jesus fucking Christ!
It's not worth it, man. Just let it happen. We're peaceful.
Dispatch, this is Patrol 457. I got a lot of androids down here. Hundreds. Thousands. They're marching. Yeah, they're marching down the street. Fucking fine.
Oh boy. All right, stay calm. My heart is racing.
We came here to demonstrate peacefully and tell humans that we are living beings. All we want is to live free.
This is an illegal gathering. Disperse immediately or we will open fire.
We're not looking for confrontation. We've done no harm. We have no intention of doing any. But know that we are not going anywhere until we have secured our freedom.
I repeat, this is an illegal gathering. If you do not disperse immediately, we will shoot.
Marcus, they're gonna kill us. We have to attack. There's more of us. We can take them.
If we attack, we'll start a war. We have to show them we're not violent. We should just stand our ground, even if it means dying here.
Dying here won't solve anything. Marcus, we need to go, now, before it's too late.
I don't trust the police.
This is your last chance. Disperse immediately, or you will all be killed.
Yep, get out.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! We're leaving.
Affirmative.
No! No!
On my order!
Are you fucking kidding me? No.
Run!
Come on, Marcus. We gotta go.
Wow. That's pretty gut-wrenching, man. That hits a lot different. In a lot of ways, we're really lucky that they warned us. I'm not condoning what the police did there in any way, shape, or form, but everything we've seen is that the police opened fire. We saw that in the very beginning of the game. We saw that with when we were in the CyberLife place. The police have not given us warnings before. So they warned us. And that warning is more than enough for me to have enough space to say, I'm out. Because if they say we're going to shoot, and traditionally they've just shot, I believe them. We did everything right there. We did everything right there. We made our point, and this is what I mean. Let the humans screw this up. That looks terrible for humans. We had people on the street taking video. We now have the public with footage of this. They're sitting there with riot gear and assault weapons. We have no chance there. There's no way I'm fighting there. And what good is the cause if we're dead? Nobody was at risk. We were arms up. Who are the police protecting here? And we have the benefit of looking like humans. So, I mean, they're opening fire on peaceful humans. Oh my God. Yeah, that hurts though. For them to open fire like that, it is definitely hard to, I couldn't have done that different. I really couldn't. I wasn't going to stand firm. I'm not going to martyr myself for this. My job is to protect the interests of androids. This isn't due process. This is humans acting out of fear. We have the ability to be more measured, and we're going to leverage that. I can't lose everyone. Everybody dies. What the hell are we fighting for? I'm with Simon on that. Holy crap. People don't like change. Even if it's, you know, in our best interest. You combine a fear of change, you combine aversive arousal with a position of power, which is what the police had in that moment. They have the luxury of doing that. They have the backing of the dominant group. They have the power in the form of militarized gear. They can open fire with no repercussion other than public image. And our lives are at stake. Our freedom, our lives. We're not asking, androids aren't asking for more power. We're not asking to take over. We're seeing human projection in the way that we're being responded to. It brings us back to the conversation we had earlier. We're seeing human projection. Humans are assuming that androids are violent and are going to take things by force because that's what they do. That's what the people in the position of power do. They assume, they know that that's how they got power. They assume that that's what's going to be done to them. And so they create countermeasures as a result. They're not willing to accommodate the idea that we can live in parallel with them, with equality and civil rights, the same kind of rights that are afforded to them. And it's because the power they've gotten, I mean, humans traditionally, that's how you get power, is to take it. I mean, North isn't wrong in that way. It's just a big fucking shame. And this is why it is so important for people to understand their biases, to understand their orientation to these types of events and situations, and what it means to be in a position of power. It's why it's so important to listen to the actual message of these types of groups. Because instead of acting on what is actually tangibly happening in front of them, instead of listening to the message that the androids are setting, they're operating off of projection. They're not listening. And when you're in a dominant group, when you're in a position of power, you have that luxury. Marginalized groups have to listen. Dominant don't. Dominant get to choose. And I would argue they chose wrong here. 22% of the world fled there. I really want to see what the next news stories are going to be after this. Me too. I don't quite understand why Jericho's opinion of me went down. Unless they perceive me as scared. I don't, as the leader there, I don't want to put my people at risk. That's such a risky position. The police have been nothing but awful to us. Why would I expect the police to work with us? No way. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of guilt from Marcus liberating androids just for them to die moments later. I don't know. We did that the right way. Like, I stand by that choice. I feel like 10 times out of 10, you put me in that position, I'm doing the exact same thing. I worked with the variables I had. I had police pointing guns at me, telling me they're going to shoot. Why on earth would I put my chips on the calculation of what if they decide not to? No way. The next news story will probably be something along the lines of patriotic police. Heroes stopped violent uprising. Yep. I imagine they see the losses on your hands. I mean, that's a very interesting point, Ciora, because I didn't force people to run. As the leader, I suggested it. There could have been individual androids that decided on their own autonomy to stand their ground. They could have done that, right? That's the point. We're pushing for freedom. Yet, we're deferring to leaders. And this is another very, very important point that I would like to make. When you follow a leader, you are inherently giving up autonomy. A true exertion of autonomy and freedom would be to act on that conviction. Would be if you wanted to stand your ground, to stand the ground. If you wanted to run at the police, to run at the police. If you wanted to run away, to run away. That's true autonomy. If you look to a leader to make that decision for you, you have deferred autonomy. You are still accountable for that decision, by the way, to defer your autonomy over to a leader. But there's no such thing as pure autonomy in the context of following leadership. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to consider. Even if that leader is acting in your best interest. But Marcus didn't send a Wi-Fi protocol that said you have to run here. He didn't send one that said you have to, if we are truly preaching pure Android autonomy, then everybody can make their own decision there. Boy, what a brutal position, man. Brutal position. And we'll see what the ramifications are on that on the next one. Whew. That was a lot, man. If you could completely 100% cut off your emotions and ability to empathize, do you think their choices could still be the same, entirely different, or somewhere in between? I really don't know, James. I really don't know. Because I don't know if we can fully cut off. I mean, I guess a person would act completely on their own self-interest, but empathy is a really good marker. It's really good information to operate off of. I don't know that we can divest ourselves from that. This was a hell of a night. This was a hell of a night. By the way, I'm willing to sit around to chat and decompress a little bit here. I'm not gonna just like run, but I think that's a good place to end the game. But wow, man, what a night! This is getting really intense. Also, chat, if you've been enjoying this and you haven't already, please take a second, look right below the video, and there's a thumbs up icon. Click that icon for me, if you wouldn't mind. It's totally free to do. It takes a second, and it's huge for supporting the stream. I really am glad that so many of you have been here for this. I hope that my playthrough of this game is meaningful in some way. I hope that it's adding to your depth of enjoyment of the game in some way. If you've played it before, if this is your first time, I hope I'm doing the first time justice. This is a lot of fun. I'm gonna be completely honest with you all. Talking through this game has been way cooler than I even thought it was gonna be. Like, I knew this would be a really fun stream or game to stream, but I did not anticipate that it was going to be like this. We have had so many incredible conversations off of this, and I have loved reading what all of you had to say. I know I didn't read every single thing in chat when we had the breaks, but like I haven't responded to everything, but I have read everything. I love reading what all of you have to say. I appreciate that these conversations are as amazing as they are here. I love this community so much. And again, I love that so many of you are willing to come over here to YouTube with me.